What's up, guys, and welcome to HCS Source episode number 11. My name is Active, and with me I've got my duo, Why Not Be Casting, aka Why Not Be the best caster in the world, Tony. What's up, dude? How you doing? How's your day been?
Really good. It's
busy,
really,
right?
I don't know if I would say best caster in the world or
Hey,
anything
you're
like
up there.
that, but
You're up there to me. Yeah.
but it was. I'll be honest with you. Today's been an absolute crazy day for me. I started my day off streaming. I did one of my HCS weekly reports. After that, I went right down to Atlanta to record some content for the E United Classic.
Woo!
Right after that, I went to get some clothes altered for a special event that I have coming up. And then I went to cast Apex, and now right into this show. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm
tired.
exhausted. I don't know what's going on.
Dude, you're a grinder, man. You've been talking about that for a long time, and it obviously shows. And that's why your success is getting up there. So continue what you do, and just today you're on fumes. I just got done streaming. I've still got tons of energy, so let's get this going. I just saw those shoulders wiggle, Tony. So I already know you're still with no energy. You're still excited for this show because we got a lot to talk about today. My day, I streamed. I got some really good news. No, not a big deal, just some really good news today, and that's been my day. But regardless, I don't want to talk about my day too much. What do we have to talk about today? What's the show going to be about today?
Well, I needed some help, so I have a special guest coming in.
Okay.
And it's my man Kakashi coming in, because I don't know if you can see my shirt.
That's a sick shirt, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not an anime fan, but that's a sick shirt, dude. My goodness.
My man Kakashi had to give me a little bit of strength. He's letting me know that I'm gonna be taking care of the show today. That when we obviously got to talk about number one, E United Invitational, and then the 4 spots that are available for the Open to make it in there. Then, on top of that, we got to talk about that Orlando pool play, which is going to be so crazy. There's just so much going on right now in the world of Halo esports. So why don't we deep dive into the invitational format? 64 teams. We do have a best of 5, but a single elimination going on for that qualifier. So it's kind of a go big, go home, and that's gonna run from on the 15th, and then the actual tournament airs from the 16th to the 18th. So single elimination, go big, go home. We already know that E United, Sentinels, Optic, Cloud9, Space Station Gaming, G1 Phase, Ascend, G2, Fnatic, Complexity, and Native Red are going to be the ones already guaranteed their spot, but there's still 4 spots available going through that qualifier.
Yeah, that's one of those things like where, if you're a team kind of up on the rise, and, I always say like right now is a really good time to get into Halo, because I truly do think that Halo is going to make a comeback. I just feel that way. And if you're getting into it now, and if you got a team where you're building chemistry, and you can carry that into this game, with HCS, who, and I think HCS has done a great job, even with what state Halo's in right now. HCS is still the cool crowd. Like, people love to watch these LAN tournaments, and viewership has been still very, very high. So, enter this tournament. I mean, I believe you have till the 14th, so I believe today is the last day. So if you're listening to this on the day I release it, you probably missed the window. But regardless, there's going to be some great competition here. Like you said, all the invited teams that are already invited, I think, are really solid, and we've seen some crazy things going on in the Halo Data Hive. I want to talk about that a little bit later once we get into pool play discussion. But regardless, very, very cool tournament. Tony and I will be casting that tournament, so you'll see us there. I believe it's going to be on the E United Twitch channel, so make sure you stop by. Make sure you show us some love. It's going to be an all-weekend tournament. Very, very fun. And, this is kind of like it's going to set a great precedent, I think, for Orlando. It's going to give us a good idea in a tournament type setting for 25 grand who's going to show up to play online. We've had a little bit of time since the Super, so very interesting to see how these teams have evolved, especially with all the changes going on.
Yeah, and with single elimination format, it's going to be tough. You're going to see some crazy upsets and some teams that you would expect to make it out. Like, I know, obviously some favorites going into the qualifier, I would have to imagine would be, Oxygen Esports. I would imagine some of the favorites being, maybe if Collect and McWin make a squad like they did during that Esports Arena event just last week. They're obviously going up there. Forbidden Fruit, you're talking about Envoy, you're talking about Hysteria, and Tony Two Turn. That trio is absolutely deadly. So watch out for what they put in. I think Rami, formerly of Fnatic, have joined them, and they've been running together, at least scrimming together for quite a bit. Obviously, Kratos will probably make a squad with Crowd Pleasers. So there's plenty of teams that are up and coming that are going to try to be fighting for those 4 qualifier spots. But in single elimination, anything can happen. You can get paired up against a team that a lot earlier than expected, and then maybe get upset. Maybe you're a favorite to make it out into top 4, but you're running into some crazy juggernaut. So watch out for that event. It's going to be a lights out, and we talk about $25,000 on the. Hold on, Tim. $25,000 on the line. So you already know everyone is going to be emptying the tank.
I love it. I love it. It's obviously, it's just, like I said, it's just one of those things that, we're going to be able to see. Orlando is literally the weekend after. So they're very close together. We've got very different tournaments. Obviously, one is on LAN, one is online. Completely understandable, but still a very good. You can call it like you're playing a practice tournament essentially for 25 grand. Like that's good. And I want to see who's going to come out on top, because like I said, we're going to go into these. I want to dive into these Halo Data Hive stats. If you could pull up Halo Data Hive, Tony, I want to talk about what's going on with that. We're going to do that later, but very, very exciting. A lot of these teams are just, showing a new face and starting to really perform with just, one team change. And it makes Orlando that much more exciting, and I can't be more excited.
I am as well. You kind of alluded to it before that. So HCS is doing well, no matter where you feel where Halo is right now as a game. Some people even blaming competitive for the state that Halo's in, but some might also look at that and say, what, Halo is thriving because of competitive and because of HCS, and HCS is in a great spot, and I'm loving that the infrastructure is there, and I'm excited to see where we go from here, because we still have season 2 on the rise, where and teams are already getting so much better that when we go into Kansas City and when we go into this United event, which could really answer a lot of questions, it's a tight race. You have no idea who's going to make it to that top 4. Right. You have no idea. This top 6 and this top 8 is going to be a bloodbath. Oh yeah. You can't give it to just anybody, because this is going to be the most tightly contested top 6, top 8 that we've probably seen in Halo history. Yeah. When you talk about the likes of Complexity, G1, G2, SSG, Ascend, Quadrant, Navi. That's just me just spitballing a few teams that are all contending for top 6, top 8. There's more than that. This is going to be a bloodbath. So if you're new to competitive esports, let me tell you, you came in at the right time. And speaking of right time, why don't we go right into pool play, because there's a lot of storylines going into pools, and I'm just gonna spit out pool A and pool B, and then I'm gonna let you take over pool C, pool D, and then we'll kind of maybe do a little bit of a deep dive into it. So pool A, God bless the alphas only. Optic Gaming, they're not bad. They're kind of good. They're not bad. Some might say kind of good. Some might say the most dominant team in the league right now. FaZe Clan, who have had a bit of an up and down season, but if there's one thing I can say is that FaZe have been deadly, and they have so much potential. And as of recently, they've looking maybe not exactly like the God Squad we expected them to be back in June, but they look a lot better than they did before. Send, number 1 team in Europe right now. Absolutely phenomenal. Then you have Chiefs, the number 1 team at ANZ, all in the same pool. Then pool B, you have G1, Native Red, which is going to be so fun to watch those two duke it out. Quadrant, the number 2 team out of EU, who, by the way, always show up on land. And then Cincinnati, the number 2 team in Latin America. Why don't you take over Pool C?
Of course, Pool C. the Kansas City champions Sentinels. And, we're going to kind of see if they can repeat. And, even APG on stream said that Sentinels on LAN has a different level that they tend to break through. And that's kind of scary because if they're already a disgusting team and then on LAN, you break through this other level, it gets scary. And then you got G2, who has, had a little bit of trouble in terms, a Barcode being able to scrim with him. He's been in Australia. I'm not sure what they're kind of doing at this point. That visa gets people in trouble. Of course, Na'Vi with Jimbo, Kimbo, Snakey, and Mighties. That's going to be a great team as well. They placed, I believe it was second. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was second or third at Valencia. And then Cruelty, they're the Latam, just the Latam Crushers. I don't know too much about them. I know Glory Loco and Dragonaic, Noble, and Renegan. Do you know much about this squad, Cruelty? Tony, have you done any research into them thus far?
You're calling out the Cruelty roster, and I will say that they're fighting.
Okay.
They're fighting.
Good.
I remember seeing Noble back in the day, who was actually, I want to say he might have been on what is now Cincinnati, when he was on that roster at one point. Noble has a very centered, steady shot, the likes of like Suppressed and even Formal, for example. Very good fundamental shot. Okay. I'm still learning about Dragonic, Renegon, and Gore Loco, but I will say I am very familiar with the Renegon from watching Naruto. So a lot of powers that come in there. You can pull your enemy close to you, kind of like maybe grapple them in. You can pull them, you can push them away like the repulse. And this man starts off with it just by having a special eye. So lots of teleportation as well, which might be a form of equipment. So the man starts off with multiple equipments, even some we haven't seen so far, just from having a special eye.
I love it. I love it. So that's, Pool C will have that open bracket team there at the bottom. But Pool D, we got Cloud9, United, J-Ling, and Space Station. Again, Space Station, we talked about them. The Pittsburgh Knights got picked up by Space Station Gaming. They've secured their spot in Worlds, regardless of how they place here, because the top two teams in each region will secure pools at Worlds. So very, very interesting to know that. Space Station kind of picking them up. Not really too sure how they've been doing in terms of scrims, but regardless, it's going to be awesome to see them on LAN. If we see anything like Kansas City, a lot of international squads are doing really well at these LAN tournaments. So I'm excited to see when it comes to like Na'Vi and Ascend, of course, and Quadrant, how, if they're able to break through that top 8 again. We'll have to see. It's going to be very, very interesting. But that closes out Pool D. I'm very excited for all of these pools, but to me, Pool A is my goodness, that's the death pool of the century right there. I mean, all of the best teams from each region, the two top teams from, in my opinion, I think FaZe is up there in the discussion being a top 4 team. You have to duke it out, and it's going to be interesting to see how FaZe play against Optic in that on LAN in that first day.
I'm really excited for Pool A because you obviously have Optic Gaming, the most dominant team online, and now coming into LAN where FaZe Clan look like they are going to be a better LAN team than they are online, right. And they already were looking so good against United and some other teams as well during some of these online tournaments. And then Ascend, who Ascend are nasty, and Ascend demand respect. If you look over Ascend, they might run over you. So Pool A is definitely really exciting. To me, though, I think the dark horse pool that people aren't talking about for some reason is Pool B. Okay. And the reason why I say that is because I think you can make a good argument for any one of these teams winning out. Legitimately, obviously, I think G1 are the favorites going in, but let's not forget that Native Red were the ultimate dark horse team going into season 1 before G1 were even a thing. Before they were even crawling, Native Red were running. Right. And Native Red now bringing back Mandy onto their roster, maybe even activating a honeymoon stage, even though it's the original roster they started off with. And then you have Quadrant, which, by the way, not too long ago, Quadrant taking the champions of Kansas City to a game 5. There was at one point in time Quadrant looking like they were about to send Sentinels into the losers bracket, which
Yep.
would have totally thrown a wrench into it. Quadrant are a great team, and they're so fundamentally driven, and they play so well off of each other. I think they can make a good argument for them coming out on top. And then Cincinnati obviously showing, proving themselves both online and on land to be an absolute force. Obviously the dark horse going into this particular pools, but again, another team that if you overlook them, they can catch you off guard. Pool B demands a lot of respect.
I agree.
And I think not enough people are talking about how close this race is with Pool B.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how G1 performs on land. I think it's the big question. They've done a really good job online. Obviously, Not Super doing an incredible job that, people just didn't expect them to perform as well as they did. But on land, it's a little bit of a different story. I think with Boo Boo as, at the head of the team, I think he will provide that kind of veteranship that they need in order to kind of get past those, maybe main stage jitters or whatever, but it's a different dynamic. And the one thing I will say about G1 is that the organization has prepared them for this. And that's what's very exciting to me. They've taken care of all the intangibles as an organization, getting LASIK for Swish, like that's a big deal. That kind of gives you, to be honest, think about this for a second. If an org is going to buy you LASIK, which is fairly expensive, obviously, right? They're changing your life forever. You want to win even more for that org. Like, this org's name is Gamers First, and I truly feel like they're actually about their pros. They're actually about the gamers, and that to me is really cool. The fact that they're also doing all of these tests, they've got these doctors doing reaction speed tests and improving reaction time. There's a lot of intangibles that are being taken care of that you will see in a LAN environment. I wouldn't have any doubt that they're taking care of all of those. So G1, I really want to see them perform well on LAN. I think it's just a great squad from the very first day that we saw Boo Boo enter that team, and we saw him again the next week in the open play with them, and then again we realized that he was in there for good. I've seen the growth of that squad, and they're just absolutely incredible. But I've got to go back and talk about FaZe real quick in Pool A. They just had a scrim today versus, I believe it's actually happening right now, versus Sentinels, and they are up 7-3 in that scrim. Not only that, yesterday, they scrimmed against Cloud9 and beat them 8-5. Now, I understand these are online scrims. I completely get that, online is obviously very different than LAN, but you said it yourself, and I 100% agree with you, that I think FaZe is going to be a way better LAN team. And to see them perform this way against the teams that were destroying them when Snipedown was on the squad, to me, gives me a lot of hope that this team is ready to perform and potentially break through that top four, potentially go even further. So I'm very excited for the addition of Nick. Apparently, he's added something to this roster that is just, incredible. Obviously, with Spartan being his duo and them being great friends, and you go back to the drama of United where Nick was going to get dropped and Spartan was pissed because he had no say in it. So, like, these guys are boys, and like to put them back together is incredible. And I think it's one of those things that you can't measure, and they're ready to fight. They're ready to fight to prove that they belong together, and that with, of course, with Renegade online he's pissed. He hates online. Like, the guy, every time I talk to Spartan, he says Renegade is flipping out. Like, we did a 2v2 tournament, Renegade's checked. He threw his controller. Like, he hates online, but on LAN, we know how well he can perform. We know what he's capable of on LAN. So, very, very excited for that FaZe roster. One roster I'm not really seeing, hasn't been confirmed yet, as of just yet, and I don't see any scrims from them, is Fnatic. Very interesting. Actually, I do see a scrim from them. I'm sorry. There is one scrim from Fnatic, and that's going to be today, actually. They scrimmed E United in 1-7-4. So maybe even this Fnatic roster looking pretty solid. For those of you guys that don't know, it's going to be Arctic, Jazero, Septify, and Suppressed. So that Fnatic roster also looking very, very good. The only thing is, like, they're going to have to kind of fight here because they didn't make pool play. So they're going to have to go all the way through that open bracket and potentially fight through all these really good teams for a chance at, getting top 8. So it's going to be tough. Yeah,
it's going to be tough, but I mean, at the end of the day, you have plenty of time to figure it out.
Right.
Leading up into these events and whatnot. You see G1 really thrive off of getting these points, and that's where they are today. And Fnatic had the same opportunity as G1 and Native Red going into these open events, and sadly didn't perform. At the end of the day, you got no one to blame but yourself. So you got to go into the open bracket, got to go into the gauntlet. At the end of the day, you're a part of the organization. You're professional players.
Right.
You're very capable players as well. And now you're bringing in Suppressed and Arctic, and this team is looking good so far. I like the team. So go in the open bracket, prove that you belong. Is it going to be long days? Yeah. Is it going to be tough? Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's a do or get done type of world, and you got to go out and do the damn thing. Luckily, Fnatic obviously realized that. No excuses for them to get a 7-4 win against E United. I think it's huge because E United were putting themselves back into a that top 6, top 4 category where we were questioning where they were going to end up when you lose out on the likes of a Spartan, when you lose on the likes of a King Nick and having to revamp your roster and now bringing in Snipe down. We questioned where they were going to be. And recently, E United have been impressive, but I guess double recently, even more over the last couple of days, today and yesterday. You lose out on the scrims against Fnatic 7-4, like you said. I was getting intel about that. I was keeping tabs on that while I was casting my tournament. And you also had the same scoreline against G1, the very team that you were able to come out and beat when it came to tournament time. So even though E United and FaZe are looking better than they did before, we're still seeing inconsistency.
Yes.
And when it comes to these tournaments, $25,000 on the line, whatever the hell that prize pool is about to be over at Orlando, the one thing we don't want to see is inconsistency, because that's when a hole gets created in your defense and teams are going to be looking to exploit you based on any holes, any given opportunity that you give them, they're going to take advantage of. So the one thing I want to see out of E United and FaZe for starting now, and even I'll put G1 in the conversation as well, is I want to start seeing consistency. There's questions on the table, and we need to see answers now.
Yeah, and the consistency, you can argue, this is something that I think happens. You can argue that in these scrims and maybe in these online tournaments as well. I mean, we'll have to see when it comes to the higher the prize, the more important it is, obviously. But I feel like these teams don't really, some players don't really give their all until it absolutely is a must. Like, obviously, Orlando, you're qualifying for Worlds. This is a must. If you want to be in that Worlds conversation, you need to perform at Orlando. And there's also $250,000 on the line, plus, if they end up doing crowdfunding again or whatever. But regardless, $250K on the line, you're on land, there's zero excuses. I think the best come out of the best players. And, on these scrims, you could argue that they're not really giving their all. It takes a lot of energy. It really does. To give your all in every single game in a scrim, it takes a lot of energy. And I feel like, some of these teams, some of these players kind of reserve that for LAN. So, a big example is Sentinels. They don't even wait. They don't even reserve that for LAN. They reserve that for Championship Sunday. They literally start slow every single LAN event, and then on Championship Sunday, all of a sudden, okay, wait a minute, we have to get going, and then it kind of snowballs out of control, and then we have Kansas City. So, in my opinion, I think the scrim stats definitely do matter, and I think they matter with FaZe, and I think they matter with E United and all of that, but when it comes to a LAN environment, it's a different story. Some players potentially perform better under the spotlight. Some players perform slightly worse under the spotlight. It all kind of depends, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see who brings their best game. I cannot, for me, and I want to go over predictions in these pools, Tony. Who do you think's going to win each pool? But firstly, I cannot ever take Sentinels out of the winning conversation, just because of the same thing that APG said. They've got that extra switch that they can just flip at any time, and then it's who the heck are these guys? We did not expect what we saw at KC. It was incredible. A 4-0 in the grand finals against Cloud9. No one expected that. And Sentinels just played out of their minds. I think it's just going to come down to, I don't know if they're getting any LAN practice beforehand. At Kansas City, we had that amazing event, the Kansas City Royals Stadium, where people were able to practice. I love that, because you're able to play in a LAN environment. You're able to kind of, be able to kind of practice those skills and get back into that mode and that flow state of playing on LAN. It's a very different game. You can peak shot on LAN. You cannot peak shot online. You can go for certain things on LAN. You cannot go for them online. You can over peak online, where you can't do that on LAN. If you get caught out, you're dead. And then that's a flag cap. That's a play made. That's control on the map. So very interesting. It's gonna be exciting. I think Orlando's one of the most exciting events, obviously, all year. This is it. All of these teams have played for this moment, because this decides who goes to Worlds. And that, to me, is the most exciting part. With all these team changes, the best of the best have to come out and play their best. And I want to really quickly talk about something you said about Native Red. I think that's really cool that you brought that up, that reignition of the honeymoon stage. When you're broken up for a little while, and then you kind of come back together like, yeah, we're boys. Like, And I listened to a little bit of your interview with the Native owner, and he had said something like, they said that this is their best chance to place high. And to me, I agree 100%. There's no one on the free agent market list that is going to be on this Native Red squad that's going to help them place higher than those 4 guys. Can they break into the top 4 though? I think it's going to be tough, but we'll see. Let's do some predictions, Tony. What do you think about each pool? Who do you think is going to win out on each pool?
Before I get to predictions, I'll get right into it. I do want to hone on just one more matchup.
Please.
We talked about G1 and Native. We talked about Optic and FaZe. I think there's one more matchup that's worth focusing on, and that's in Pool D. You have Cloud9 and E United. My reason being is that both of these squads have gone through major changes as well. Obviously, Renegade, your main slayer, leaving Cloud9, and then United, we talked about, obviously Spartan and King Nick coming out, Snipe Down coming in, and the same for Suspector as well. And you have 2 play styles that Cloud9 obviously know how to change the pace, but their default play style is aggressive. And same for United, they know how to change the pace as well, but their default play style is defensive.
Right.
So I'm really going to be excited to watch that matchup between Cloud9 and United. So I just wanted to highlight that real quick. And when it comes to predictions, I'm not gonna lie to you, I root for storylines, but I tend to go the safer route.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna be too exciting. Like with Pool A, I really want to go FaZe winning that out. I really do. I think it's a great storyline. But as dominant as Optic looked, I'm gonna go Optic come out in first. I think the same thing. I think Ascend can play FaZe really well.
Yeah.
And I think that matchup is going to be closer than people think. It's not going to be a sweep in either direction. But again, with a tightly contested matchup, I'm going to go with who I feel the favorites are going in. I'm not going to try to waver. And as much as I would like to go with Ascend, who I think are capable, give me FaZe. I think Ascend and Cheeks are going to go at it. I think it's going to be fun to watch. Give me Ascend. And I could even say I would be confident enough to say that might even be a sweep in favor of Ascend. So even though I think there's a chance that this is going to be a lot closer than people think, I'm going to go to safe route. So give me Optic first, FaZe second, Ascend third, and Chiefs fourth.
Okay. I will go onto Pool B because I pretty much agree with what you said. This is the pool that you called.
You're boring too.
Yeah, I'm boring too. This is the pool that you called the death pool. Is that what you called it? Kind of, we don't know.
I think it's a dark horse pool, underrated pool.
Gotcha. I also agree with that statement. I think G1 take this pool. I think they're in first for this pool. I think that, like I said, the intangibles are taken care of. LAN is not going to be a question for this team. I think they're going to do just fine. They got breakout team at Kansas City without Boo Boo. With the addition of Boo Boo, we've seen what they're capable of, and all Boo Boo does is bring more veteranship to this squad on LAN. So I think they're more than prepared. Quadrant, I think they're pretty disgusting. I think they're a great squad, and they broke top 8, I believe, at Kansas City. Am I correct, Tony? Quadrant broke top 8. Yep. So, but we can't stop talking about Native Red. Like these guys, like you said, that little bit of honeymoon stage maybe coming back again, being able to once again play on LAN together in the LAN environment. So I think it kind of sticks the way it is. Sintra Negra, I think they're a great squad, but I think Quadrant versus them, it's going to be Quadrant's just so disgusting. I think that it'll definitely be one-sided. I think that'll be a sweep, in my opinion. So, yeah, pretty much as it stands, G1, Native, Quadrant, Sintra Negra for me on Pool D. Pool B, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think Native Red consistently get top 6 on land, which is great. But this top 6, top 8 is gonna, like I said before, it's gonna be a bloodbath. It's gonna be the toughest and the most competitive top 8, top 6 that we've seen in quite some time. And G1 definitely the running with. So I'm gonna agree with you. G1 first, Native Red second. I think Quadrant are very capable. I would feel more confident in putting my money on Quadrant if they didn't just get 12 forward by Shopify Rebellion. And that's not a shot on Shopify Rebellion, 'cause I think Shopify Rebellion are a lot better than people think. And I actually, for the first time, I think Shopify Rebellion might be able to make it out of open bracket. That's how good I think they are, which, by the way, again, the open bracket also going to be an absolute gauntlet. You got Fnatic freaking in there, for God's sake. So you already know that it's going to be a tough matchup, but I think Shopify Rebellion are sneakily amazing. Mental is incredible, and that team plays great fundamentals. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just want to touch on something real quick. We actually played Shopify Rebellion. I entered a tournament. It was the JJ Events tournament with one of my, I do coaching, and one of my students, I wanted to enter with him to kind of see how his team, performed and what they were like. And we ended up getting two people from his team, and then Hunter, JJX, and me, of course, on mouse and keyboard. And our first matchup was, of course, Shopify Rebellion, and we absolutely got smashed. Like, they are so good at capitalizing on damage. Like, it is impressive to me, the fact that I take 2 shots out of position just by a slight step, and they are literally 3 on me at the same exact time to make sure that kill gets cleaned up. I was goosing for the first 5 minutes of a Slayer game, and it was awful. Like, Hunter JJX literally said, okay, it's time to get Tim a kill, because that's how long it took me to get a kill versus those guys. It was amazing. I just wanted to say that because I 100% agree with you that they're a great squad. Obviously, we're not on that level, and it has nothing to do with, them placing or making it out of open bracket, but very, very good squad that's very good on capitalizing on mistakes, the little tiny mistakes that you make. Yeah, they're good, and they proved the 12-4 in Quadrant in scrims literally just today.
Crazy.
So, I think this pool is going to be so tight. It's all of it, because you can make a good argument for any one of these teams to come out on top, but when it comes to closely contested series, I tend to go with the favorites, even though I root for the underdogs. So, I'm right there with the G1 first, Native second, Quadrant third, and since a negative fourth. Again, it's a little bit boring, but that's kind of what the direction I'm going to be going with. So, going into Pool C, I'm going to go again. Pretty boring. Yeah, I'm gonna go right in the row. Sentinels first, G2 second, Navi third, and give me Cruelty in fourth. Just because and to be honest with you, I don't think Sentinels are gonna come close. I don't think anybody's gonna come close to Sentinels. Maybe in pool play it's a chance, because like we said, Pittsburgh Knights now SSG were able to take them to Game 5 in pool play. Yeah. So they tend to not catch fire until Sundays. I think G2 and Nav are going to be closer than people think, but I don't know, man. G2 are good. They are. And Barcode really puts them over the edge if he makes it out. So, I'm going to go right in order. I'm not going to go anything sexy when it comes to Pool C.
All right, so for me, I kind of want to do a little bit of talking about G2. I think they're in a very interesting position because not having a player that is able to, that's able to be with you and scrim with you, etc., is honestly, it's tough. You're not able to build that chemistry, and unfortunately, it comes down to obviously his visa and all that stuff. And I believe we talked last episode, Tony, about this, where Gilkey had said they were watching film and all of that, and they're able to get a couple scrims in here and there. But my worry is they're a fantastic squad, but with the new addition of Barcode and him not being able to really get much practice in with this squad, it's going to make it really difficult. I'm guessing that potentially they're doing something where, they're They're going to prepare for this, Grunt Classic. Maybe they got Barcode back over again. And, they're preparing for that right now, which I think will be really good for them. This Grunt Classic is a lifesaver for these guys. Like, their ability to kind of use this as like a test tournament, like I said, a $25,000 test tournament, to practice for Orlando. But it's a big deal, man. Like I said, Worlds is right around the corner, and this Orlando tournament is so very important. I have to stress that. So I'm a little worried about G2, but we'll see. Maybe that review has done them good. Obviously Barco's probably been grinding on his own, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll have to see how they perform, but a little bit worried that they haven't gotten any practice since that Kansas City turn, or I'm sorry, since that Super.
It's gonna be tough, but I will say that I think G2 is going to be good. Going into Pool D, I'll make things a little bit interesting just for the sake of doing so.
Okay.
I think Pool D is going to be another one of those. Another one of those, or at least United. Another one of those teams are going to be better on land than they are online. And I'll go a little bit interesting just for the sake of doing so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go. Which, by the way, guys, if you guys have any questions in the chat, let's open it up right now.
Good idea.
If you guys have any questions in the chat right now, place them in here because we are going to do a Q&A, a live one. And I have a feeling you guys have a lot of questions about it. How big, how small, how dumb, how smart. Go in and put your questions in, and I promise we'll address, if not every, damn close to every question you guys put into the chat right now. But I'm gonna go a little bit crazy with Pool D. I'm gonna say United in first place, Cloud9 second.
Whoa!
I'm gonna say, even though J-Lings are the favorites going into that matchup, give me SSG third and J-Lings fourth. I'm gonna go way out of left field for Pool D. We've been so cookie cutter the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Let's have a little bit of fun here.
Yeah, I like it. You got to do that sometimes. For me, I'm gonna be boring, but I'm gonna pretty much stick with Cloud9, United, J-Lings, and Space Station. But I want to talk about Cloud9 real quick, because since their change, and I think this might go for a lot of teams, but it's kind of interesting for Cloud9. Since their change, they have not played with Bound on LAN yet. And I know, like I said, there's been a lot of team changes, and I'm sure a lot of teams are in this position. Most of them are in this position, but I feel like, Cloud9 haven't really been impressing me online, and I'm thinking that maybe it comes down to Bound not liking the online experience. Obviously, I feel like, I love the guy. He's really funny, and I think he's mostly being entertaining. But every time you go into his stream, he's complaining about something. He's it's comical. I think he's mostly doing it for entertainment, but I don't think the guy likes the game online. I don't think most people do, but I think he's like above and beyond. And I think Bound has consistently performed on LAN. So is a potential that there's a little bit of a change there where Cloud9 are obviously a dominant team already, but I think with Bound being online, I think that they'll kind of pull together a little bit tighter and just be an overall better team. With United, United's a weird one. Like you said, very inconsistent. And I know Snipe Down has been playing a little bit of Apex recently. Like he was kind of just full on playing Halo when he was on FaZe. And then now
he was playing Apex today.
Yeah,
I just casted him.
That's what I'm saying. So like now that he's on a United, he's like, think about how it's kind of changed. Like, when he was on FaZe, he was like, I'm full on committed Halo. That's all I'm doing. That's all he really did on stream, at least. And now he's, back to playing a lot of Apex. And I think that's fine. He's really good at both games, like really good. I don't think he needs to practice 24/7 to be good, but just kind of, it's interesting because the inconsistencies are there. But when it comes to Snipe Down, I think on LAN again, he will perform as well. So, when it comes to those two, I think that Cloud9 take it, but I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I think it's going to be a good series, honestly. And then of course J-Lings and Space Station. I hope Space Station plays well. I hope they do well. I think that series might go to Space Station, but I think that'll be a close series. I really like J-Lings. Morga, Flux, Quad, and Septic. I like this squad. I think Morga's really good. we'll see though. It's going to be interesting. I think Space Station's kind of already got that world spot secured if you think about it. So I think that might play into the mental a little bit, maybe not. I don't know. I think for professionals that stuff doesn't really come into the mental. I think they just want to win. But anyway, I think Pool D is pretty much standard in my opinion.
Yeah, us in North America doesn't. We don't know too much about J-Ling's esports, but they're a juggernaut when it comes to the AU region, and they've earned their spot here in pool play. And they'll be really excited to watch them. They also have a lot of LAN experience as well. So there's not just a squad that's coming in like Ascend or a bunch of young guns, and they're very new to LAN. J-Lings, they have experience on LAN. I think that really matters going in. I'm really excited to watch all of Orlando, but especially pool play, because it's gonna answer so many questions that we have. Because with all these changes going on with the rosters and even shift the momentum, so many players are getting better and better.
Dude, it's so crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think how wide open the competition is going into Orlando. Like you kind of alluded to, really excited to see what we have with the EU Grunt Classic, because it might answer some of the questions. Right. But to be honest with you, those questions aren't going to truly get answered until we get to on land. It might answer a few, might guide us, but we still have so much going on. So when we get to land, that's when we're going to really start to figure things out here. We have some questions in the chat right now.
Yeah, let's go through them.
I'm gonna go in. I'm not even gonna vet these questions. I'm gonna read them out word for word.
Just do it out. Let's go.
Let's go right in. We'll open up the Lions then here.
Let's go.
Starting off with our question. Anyone dropped them? Why not active going to be in Orlando and Worlds? I will answer that question by saying that no matter whether I'm working or not, I will 100% be at Orlando and Worlds. It would be my first Worlds event that I've ever gone to in any esport. And whether I'm working or attending as a spectator, I will 100% be at both Orlando and Worlds, and I wouldn't miss it for the World.
I like that. Yeah, for me, they haven't announced any talent just yet. They haven't, confirmed any talent as of just yet. So I don't know if I'm going to be there or not. I'm going to try to make Worlds no matter what. Like Tony said, definitely for Worlds, I'll be there no matter what. With Orlando, I'm not sure. I haven't really made any reservations or anything like that. So I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to be there. If I do, if they do announce talent and I'm on there, then obviously I'll be there, but I am unsure as of right now. So, let's go to little Simdog, who has the easiest pool. Tony, who has the easiest pool in this pool play? In this pool play that we're gonna get at HCS Orlando.
It's tough for me to say the word easy because I feel like it's not gonna be easy regardless. Right. But I would say compared to the rest, I think I'm very confident in saying that Sentinels sweep their entire pool, where I can make a really good argument for any one of these pools where the number one seeded team might get upset. So I don't like using the word easiest, but I will say I'm very confident that Sentinels can sweep their pool, more confident than any other pool seeing a sweep.
I would agree. I'm sorry. This is no contestation here.
You're damn copycat.
Yeah, Pool
Your
C.
own opinion.
Yeah, Pool C is definitely, I would say, the easiest. Sentinels is definitely going to take that one by storm. Secondary, I would say Pool A with Optic. I think Optic is going to rip everyone in that pool apart, even FaZe. I want to see FaZe succeed. I want to see FaZe potentially take Optic to the distance, but Optic is just so good. Like, they are just so good. Their problem has been LAN, and with how confident they're sounding, how confident they sounded after the Super, how confident after winning the Super. I think them winning that Super, even though it was online, was a big statement for them. I think that they really needed that, and it's going to give them that confidence going into Orlando and going into on LAN. If they do not win Orlando, if Optic do not win Orlando, something is internally wrong with something, okay? Whether it's a mental thing, whether it's, nerves or whatever, we got to figure that out, because I'm telling you, like, above and beyond, Optic is the best team in this entire tournament. Like, they are the best team. And, if they don't win, it's because of something else. It's because of an intangible, and it's because of like a mentality or maybe just, the spotlight or something, which I wouldn't assume for any of those players, because I think all of them are vetted in that sense. When it came to Sentinels at Kansas City, Optic just got into a situation where Royal 2 made a play. Formal said this. They did a documentary on it. Royal 2 made a play and Formal's checked the rest of the tournament. It happens. That's a mental thing. It's a very, very big deal. Like, you can't get checked in that sort of situation. It's unfortunate, but we'll see. We'll see. But I think Pool C and then probably Pool A would be the next one for me.
Next question we got is tacos or burritos.
Ooh, okay.
I think when I was younger, I would go on the side of burritos. I love a breakfast burrito. I love a good burrito in general. I just think as I get older, I tend to lean more towards tacos. I just think burritos sometimes can be a little bit much. You're trying to pack in tons of ingredients and flavors all together and meld it. Sometimes it feels a little bit out of place. Like you need a really, really good burrito to warrant ordering a burrito over a taco. I just feel like taco, you're able to meld in those flavors and ingredients a lot easier, and it's a little bit more tame. So I think as I get older, and my taste buds start to get more refined and sophisticated, I think I'm going to go tacos over burritos, although when I was younger, I would choose burritos all day.
Yeah, I love tacos. I'm on keto, so I can't have any of those, unfortunately. I haven't decided yet, Tony, if I end up, going to Orlando. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to break. Anytime I go to, any event, I haven't decided if I'm going to break keto yet. Like, if I'm just going to, say, okay, for this event, screw it. I'm not... no diet right now. We're just gonna enjoy ourselves. I haven't decided yet. It's kind of a difficult one, but yeah, I can't have any tacos. But tacos would be my go-to. I actually, it's not a very popular opinion, but I actually love Taco Bell. To be honest, it was like my. This is kind of weird, but it was like my depressed meal. I don't know if you guys have one of those where you're just having a really hard day. I'm gonna order me some Taco Bell, and I go and order 5 things and just throw them down, and then
it only costs $6.
And it only costs $6, so I'm not. Yeah, so I'm not feeling guilty. Yeah, dude, I love Taco Bell, man. I know everyone's like, oh, that's gross, whatever. But yeah, I love it, to be honest. So yeah, my go-to is definitely a taco. But I also, from Taco Bell, it's a Crunchwrap Supreme. So it's not really a taco. It's like a pizza bread thing. I don't know. You guys know what a Crunchwrap is. That's my favorite thing from there. So anyway, I'm getting hungry now, and I'm fasting right now, so I can't eat till tomorrow morning. So we're not talking about food anymore.
Well, next up, we're not going to talk about food. We're going to talk about a young, hungry player, and that's going to be SLG. Is SLG a pro? And I would say not only is SLG a pro, but SLG is a pro's pro. He obviously, it's really tough because not many of us speak French here in North America, but he's the IGL, and he's also one of the leading slayers on this roster. So it's, I always have so much respect for anybody that can IGL and slay at the same time, because normally your IGL sits behind, it doesn't have get as many kills. That's why I always put the likes of the Frosties, the Snake Bites, the Ryan Noobs, and even now, even not now, but even Eco as well. Up above the rest, because there's more responsibility on you. I think SOG is definitely a pro and one of the best to do it on the number 2 team out of Europe, which is very contested right now. When you talk about the likes of Ascend, J-Lings, and Navi contesting for that top 2. So not only do I believe he's a pro, but I think he's a pro's pro, and one that everybody should aspire to be. And he's young as hell, too.
He's a viewer's pro, too. Did you see the plays at Kansas City? I need to see more stuff like that. I need to see more stuff like that at Orlando. I want to see plays being made. It was him and Chick, I think, who both got overkills. I need to see more of that.
The Chick got back-to-back overkills by himself. Crazy.
I need to see more of that. That's what I need to see, because those are the moments that, they transcend years. Those are the moments we need in Halo. Those are what make Halo Halo. There's so many moments you remember, snipe down on straight rip and getting, sniper on the pit on top tower, and he no scopes the guy on bottom tower. I forgot who it was. And then Goofy, popping off as a young kid, getting that snipe. I believe it was on TD on Hysteria to win the game. Stuff like that transcends years. And we need more of that. in Halo Infinite. So I'm calling on Chick and SLG and all of Quadrant to get crazy clips once again at Orlando because I want to see them.
I'm down. I'm ready. I want to see plays. Next question I got coming up here is, and I'll be honest, so I guess this was covered, but why would they put regional number ones in the same pool? I'm not exactly sure what made up the pools. I don't know if it's just like a cumulative of points based on all regions. I'll be honest, I don't know exactly what made up the pools. My job is to look good and to talk about it, not to know the whys.
Yeah, I don't actually know the whys either. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure it's point driven, obviously, but I don't know the intricacies of it. Same as Tony. I'm pretty much just I look at the pools that they give me and I say this team, this team, this team, this team, and make assumption, make some estimated guesses based off of knowledge. But so yeah, on to the next question.
Well, I will say, Akira, I know you're one of our viewers as well. I'm going to ask around, and I will get the answer that for you and relay it to once I get the answer. Sorry,
it would be good to know. So I want to know as well once you find out. I want to know too. It's definitely good information to know. If FaZe do bad in the next tourney, who are they dropping and then picking up? This is by California 117. Okay, do you want me to go for it?
Question.
Wait, what?
You missed the question.
What did I miss? It was tacos, then SSG. Versus.
Actually, I missed the question. I'm sorry. Go on. I think I missed the question.
Yeah. So if FaZe do bad in the next tourney, who are they dropping and then picking up? If FaZe do bad in the next tournament, I don't know. I don't know if maybe Renegade leaves and causes another storm. Potentially, I think that's definitely a potential. I think that Falcated, Nick, and Sparty are pretty much locked. I don't think they're going anywhere. So I think it would be like Renegade leaving if they really underperform and he's not happy. But again, I don't know. I think, again, if he left, it would cause just a ginormous storm. Like, this gets me so excited. Like, we have another season after that. Like, I just can't wait to see like where we end up, the new maps, like these new rosters next season. Like we haven't even got done with this one and I'm already excited. Like it's crazy. I think that's my opinion. I think Renegade would leave. Like if they placed outside of top 8 somehow, I think Renegade would leave, or even outside of top 4. I don't think he'd be very happy with that. And I think some changes will be made, but I think Falcated and Nick and Spartan stay.
I'll be honest. I think FaZe trip and fall into top 6. Like I find it very tough for them to drop out of top 8.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I think regardless, you get what even if they have a bad tournament and end up top 6, top 8, say for example, I think you stick it together. If there's any fall guy on this roster, to be honest, I think it's King Nick. I hate to say it because I think King Nick brings so much to the squad and they look so good with them. But if there is a fall guy, I think if anybody, it's King Nick. But I think even if they have a bad tournament, I think they still qualify for Worlds regardless. I couldn't see a world where they don't qualify for Worlds, and I think they go in together and go in with the right attitude. And if they are going to make some changes, you make that going into season 2. I think season 1 you're locked in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I always talk about how important it is to stick together as a team, and we watched FaZe, like you called them the God Squad in the beginning, and we all thought they were going to perform incredibly, and I actually thought they were going to stick with that roster till until Worlds, and I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because obviously that one change, they're performing so much better, and it goes to show once again that chemistry is king. People kind of laugh it off like, whatever. You don't have to like your team. You just got to win. I don't agree with that whatsoever. If you don't like the players you're with, your mentality is going to be completely different. You're not going to want to win. Like Sparty with Nick, these guys are going to want to win even more now. The fact that they're together once again, they had that situation with United. I think they're just going to have that fire inside that's just going to make them play so well at Orlando. But it's one of those things. It's just very important. I think building that chemistry is very important, but FaZe is a great example of what happens when it's just not working out. It's just not working out. You got to make a change. And they did at a perfect time, by the way, at a very perfect time. But regardless, yeah, I think you're right. The only thing about Nick, being that player that, gets dropped or whatever, if he doesn't perform, I don't think Spartan's leaving Nick, man. these guys are like best friends. I don't think in any world Sparty leaves Nick. I think Sparty really respects Nick as a player. I think he thinks he's an incredible player. I agree with him, and I don't think they split up at all. So that's why I kind of brought up Renegade. But regardless, let's go on to the next question real quick. So it looks like the next one is going to be Mac. G2
right?
Still going to top their pool. I think it might be a statement, right? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, I have a question. Oh, I was actually one before then, though.
Okay.
Actually, Little Simdog, knowing OG just won the online super. Do you two see them winning this grunt class? I'm sorry, I went too far. That's the next question.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you want to answer first? You want to take that one first? Or you want me to?
Online super. I mean, I don't even see how you don't have Optic winning any online tournament going forward right now. I mean, you're talking about one of the most dominant teams that we've seen online, and probably in Halo's history.
Right.
They're insane. I think the only questions we have about Optic Gaming is, can they convert that same success to on LAN? Like, you are not only winning these scrims, not only winning these tournaments, but you are looking like the clear best team while doing it. Yeah, give me Optic game. I think not only Optic Gaming are the favorites going into the Grunt Classic, but I think they've done enough to even earn enough right to be the favorites going into into Orlando as well. They just have to go in and prove that they can still succeed even on LAN.
I think, and I talked about it before, I think the Super was a big confidence booster for these guys. And I think if they win the Grunt Classic, that's an even bigger confidence boost for these guys. So, I mean, how many scrims is here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. They are 13-2 in scrims. Like that is absolutely incredible. Okay. To me, and a lot of these are just so one-sided. Online, there's no question for this Optic squad. So, do they win the Grunt Classic unless freaking someone gets sick or something, or someone's thumb falls off? Yes, they are gonna. I don't think any team stands a chance. But I would absolutely love, especially being a caster for that tournament, I would love to be proven wrong, because that upset would be phenomenal, and it would really shake things up for Orlando, in my opinion.
I know we're probably running close on the hour if we haven't already crossed it, so I'm probably gonna bring it down to maybe like 2 questions left. One of them being Mac predictions for the top 4 at Orlando.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say I'll go simple. I'll go safe. Optic, Sentinels, Cloud9, and FaZe. I think that's a safe bet. Could I see United coming out on top? I could. Could I see G1 upsetting? Yes. And then from that, once you put G1 in that conversation, then you could make arguments for G2, Native Red, Complexity, and even other teams like Ascendant Quadrant. That top 4 is so wide open.
It is.
That again, whenever it's closely contested, I go with the favorites. And I would put Cloud9 as an even bigger question mark than I put FaZe, to be honest with you. If there's any team that gets knocked out of that top 4, I'm looking at Cloud9. I haven't seen the level of consistency out of them. At least with FaZe, I haven't seen consistency out of them as well. But I've seen moments of sheer brilliance where Cloud9, we've seen them look great, but we've seen FaZe look elite again. And I still yet have seen to see Cloud9 enough to say that I've seen them look elite. So I'm still going to go safe for my top 4.
Okay. I'm not going to. I think Sentinels win. I think Optic Gaming gets 2nd. I think FaZe get 3rd, and I think G1 get 4th.
I like that.
I think that's.
I didn't put mine in order. I just realized I didn't put mine in order.
It's all good. Yeah, so that's definitely. I would say that's definitely mine. I think that G1 are such a good team, and they get along, and they've got that organization. Like I talked, you got to go on the organization's page and just look at what they're doing for these guys. Like I think. If you guys haven't noticed yet, I'm a big mental person. Like when it comes to thinking about the mentals of these pro players and what it takes to transcend themselves into reaching their height and their peak performance. And I think, G2's got all of that stuff covered, and they show that. And I'm sorry, G1. And they show that, and I think that's amazing. I think they're going to be perfectly fine on land. I think Boo Boo picked up this squad for a reason. I think they're definitely top 4 and definitely in the top 4 conversation. Cloud9, I have still very big question marks. I just feel like they're obviously not the same without Renegade, and I just don't feel like they've kind of crossed anywhere near that sort of a threshold. But we'll have to see. And then E United are kind of a question mark for me as well with Snipe down the squad. We'll have to see. Those are both very big question marks for me, is Cloud9 and E United.
I'll be honest. I think ending with the top 4 is probably the best way to end it. I mean,
I
if you want to keep going with a couple more questions,
I love that ending.
But I think all the roads lead to Orlando. We talk about the top 4. I think now is good. I think we're probably at the hour mark, I would imagine. Yeah, or at least really close to it.
Literally 15 seconds away from it. So I love it. Good job, Tony.
Oh wait, so hold on. That's it.
It's been an incredible show. Tony, thanks again for joining us. Let them know where they can find you, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, throw a freaking
everywhere.
If I land on me, I stream on Twitch every single day, twitch.tv/YNOT_B_casting. I upload to YouTube now, pretty much one video a day, and then I'm doing shorts and TikTok as well. All of those are Why Not Be Casting on YouTube and on TikTok. I do 2 live podcasts a week, including this one, the HCS The Source, and then you can find me cast at Esports Arena and plenty of other tournaments. HCS, I've been around the block a few times. I at a point where I talk about all the time. There's nowhere that if I have time and I can sacrifice a bit. I think that's where you see what my grind is, and
absolutely, man.
I want to grind. I want to put in the work, and I want to be one of the best. So, anything Halo esports or Halo related in general, I'm usually getting involved.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite thing about you is how much you grind. I think it's very, very important, and having that mentality is very important. For me, I stream every single weekday on Twitch. I have a little bit of a different situation. I've got 4 kids to handle, so I got to balance my time as best as possible, which it gets really difficult sometimes. But I do my best. I do cast any tournament that I can, and like I said, I stream weekly, and also I upload to YouTube as well, and I do content on YouTube. I got a lot of videos on topics and stuff like that about Halo, what my thought process is on that, so definitely check out the YouTube ActiveE TV, and of course on Twitter at ActiveE, and you can find me all those places, and maybe if HCS picks me up, you'll find me in Orlando. We'll have to see about that, guys. All right, thank you guys so much again for watching. My name is Active. This is Tony. We will be back next Wednesday live at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/HCS The Source. We might not be live on Wednesday. That's right, I forgot. We might not be, but if we're not live next week, we will see you the week after. Okay, Tony, you got me there. Well done. All right, guys, I will see you next time. Make sure you show us some love. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're freaking everywhere, and we're both kind of a freaking big deal. We'll see you next time.